we've seen developments in two of the criminal cases against Donald Trump this week. Yesterday, Walt Nauta, one of his two co-defendants in his federal classified documents case, was in court for a pair of motions to dismiss the charges against all three defendants. In court filings unsealed ahead of those hearings, we learned of additional evidence prosecutors have against both former President Trump and Mr. Nauta, including these photos that appear to show Nauta moving boxes, one of which is marked classified, from a storage room at Mar-a-Lago in June of 2022. Now, also revealed allegations Mr. Trump intentionally shielded the movement of the documents from cameras at his estate. All of this comes ahead of next week's closing arguments in Donald Trump's hush money trial in New York. Testimony, of course, wrapped up this week on Tuesday. I'm joined now by Ty Cobb, who served as a White House attorney during the Trump administration. Ty, thanks for joining me. Really appreciate it.
Great to be with you, Kristen.
Well, it's great to have you as always. So what jumped out at you this week after learning about the unsealed filings?
I thought the unsealed filings were actually very telling. It's unusual that President Trump was the mover to have these unsealed because they're completely damning to him, with the exception of maybe two or three sentences. One question asked in the grand jury of Trump's attorney, Tim Parlator, apparently offended him, and as a result, he asked to have the whole 87-page opinion of Judge Howell unsealed. That 87-page opinion is 86.9 pages of excruciating detail into the crime and the crimes committed by Trump in connection with the classified documents, and proves them beyond any doubt at all. In a very easy to understand way, which perhaps Judge Cannon should read so she can actually understand some of this case. Well, her persistent delay is just inexcusable and unimaginable to other judges.
Well, so you're not buying her argument that there are various hearings and issues that need to be worked through before this can go to trial?
Oh, no. I mean, they should have had opening statements in this case this week, not motions 5 and 6, as opposed to out of several, a dozen or more that are still pending. In fact, neither of the two motions heard yesterday would have been heard by 95% of the judges in America, because they would have ruled on the pleadings themselves, as they're both frivolous. And the other judges, with the exception of Judge Powell, would have had an opinion ready to go, or made a decision at the conclusion of the hearing. She just is intellectually incapable of making a decision, and she kicks the can down the road every time. These are not difficult issues. I mean, the issues in the 87-page opinion by Judge Howell, very difficult issues, and she crunched through them with detailed citations and analysis in a matter of weeks.
So let me ask you, because the special counsel is saying it has evidence to back up its allegations of new evidence of attempted obstruction by former President Trump. What kind of evidence would they need to have to show this? And how damning, Ty, are those pictures of Walt Nauta moving the boxes?
Very damning. Now, we did know earlier that there were tapes of videotapes of Walt Nauta and others moving boxes. So I suspect those are screenshots from those tapes. But yes, that's about as damning as it gets, because keep in mind that just before that date was when the Trump became familiar with the fact that there was an outstanding subpoena, and invited Evan Corcoran down to go through the documents. And before Corcoran arrived, had Nauta and others move the documents, keeping his own lawyer in the dark.
Let me turn to the hush money trial in New York. Of course, we are anticipating closing arguments this week. It comes after Michael Cohen, the key really to the prosecution's entire case, had a bit of a roller coaster ride of testimony this past week. What will you be watching for in closing arguments, and who has the bigger burden, the prosecution or the defense?
Prosecution has an enormous burden, although I'm not sure the judge in his instructions is actually going to make them bear the full burden. It seems that the prosecution and the judge have concluded that all they want to do is get this case to the jury in some form or fashion. The reality is the legal structure that the jury should follow to try to tie the alleged felony to the alleged misdemeanors is not going to be spelled out for him. The level of intent required to demonstrate that Trump did commit the alleged felony in addition to the alleged misdemeanors is not going to be imposed upon the jurors. So I think, notwithstanding the fact they have the burden, the reality is I don't think the legal standard for that burden is going to be set out in a way that taxes them. And I think the prosecution has concluded that they would just soon get the conviction and let the appellate court sort it out. And the judge appears to be inclined to let him do that.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.